But a lot of shady stuff took place in my case.
That's not good.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's the reality of it.
Right.
And, you know, it went to England. The British people were like, we don't give a about Cartel.
You ever hear a reggae song so good, it makes you forget the singer might be doing 25 to life? Yeah, this one's for you. Today we're looking at 12 reggae artists with shocking criminal records. Some of these names, you'll recognize them right away. Others, let's just say they didn't exactly one love the law. All right, cue the beat. Let's get into it. Jah Cure. You can't talk about reggae without mentioning Jah Cure, and you definitely can't talk about him without bringing up the legal drama that's followed him like a bad shadow. Born in Jamaica, Jah Cure made a name for himself in the late 1990s with a voice smooth enough to butter bread and lyrics soaked in emotion. His breakout came in '97 with King in This Jungle, a fiery duet with Sizzla, produced by reggae legend Beres Hammond. Beres didn't just press record, he became Jah Cure's mentor, launching him on a fast-moving track toward fame. By '98, Cure was touring Europe, lighting up stages across the Caribbean and becoming a rising star. But that same year, everything crashed. In November, police pulled him over in Montego Bay and arrested him on charges of gun possession, robbery, and rape. The following year, he was convicted and handed a 15-year sentence. But even prison couldn't silence him. Cure was transferred to a facility with a digital studio where he went to work. He dropped 3 albums from behind bars: Free Jah's Cure, Ghetto Life, and Freedom Blues. These weren't just filler. Some tracks climbed Jamaican charts, and his fans never stopped listening. He got out on parole in 2007 after serving 8 years and didn't waste a second. Within 3 days of release, he put out his 4th album, True Reflections, A New Beginning, and later headlined the Reggae Sundance Festival in the Netherlands. His post-prison career looked promising. He married TV host Camilla McDonald in 2011, became a father, and kept releasing hits like Unconditional Love and Call on Me. Albums like The Cure and Royal Soldier even topped Billboard's reggae charts and earned him a Grammy nomination. But just when it seemed like he'd turned things around, October 21 happened. Cure was arrested in Amsterdam for stabbing a music promoter during an argument. In March 22, a Dutch court sentenced him to 6 more years in prison. For someone with one of reggae's most recognizable voices, Jah Cure's life has been anything but easy listening. From chart toppers to courtroom drama, his story is a warning that talent alone doesn't always keep you out of trouble. Kapton. Kapton didn't just bring heat to the stage, he brought it to headlines too. The artist known as the Fireman has spent decades blazing his way through dancehall and reggae, but in 2018, things got real for all the wrong reasons. On May 11th of that year, Clifton Bailey, better known as Kapton, was arrested and charged after a woman accused him of rape. The allegations rocked fans who had known him as a spiritual, fire-preaching Rasta, with a catalog full of righteous, conscious lyrics. At the time of the arrest, Kapton was 51 and still touring and recording. But suddenly, the conversation shifted from music to mugshots. The charge came after a report filed 9 days earlier. Authorities moved quickly, and Kapton was scheduled to appear in court the following week. The case made international news and sparked online debates, especially in reggae circles. But by the end of it, the case collapsed. The charges were dropped, and no conviction came of it. Still, the backlash left a dent in his image, and fans were left wondering what really happened. Long before all that, Kapton had built a career on transformation. In the late 80s, he started with the usual dancehall themes, bragging rights, and street anthems. Songs like Bumbo Red and No Lotion Man were pure fire-starter material. But by the early 90s, he'd turned a corner. With tracks like Alms House and Tour, he became a lyrical prophet, trading punchlines for preaching. He landed a deal with Def Jam and dropped 2 major albums, Prophecy and I Testament. In 2003, Still Blazin' got a Grammy nomination. And even as trends shifted, Kapton kept pushing his mix of roots reggae and dancehall, dropping Eternal Fire in 2010 and headlining global tours. Offstage, he's been known for charity work, especially through his annual St. Mary My Come From event. He also follows the Bobo Ashanti tradition of Rastafari and lives a strict vegan lifestyle. But despite his conscious image, Kapton's lyrics and personal views have often drawn criticism, especially around LGBTQ+ issues. Concerts have been canceled, protests have happened, and his reputation has had its share of firestorms. In the end, Kapton's story is complicated, part redemption, part controversy, and always loud. Bounty Killer. You know you've lived a wild life when your list of arrests is longer than your discography. Rodney Price, better known as Bounty Killer, isn't just a dance hall legend. He's also Jamaica's unofficial king of run-ins with the law. Let's start with the tame stuff. In 2001, Bounty got arrested at Reggae Sumfest after clashing with another artist. No charges were filed, but it set the tone. Fast forward to 2008, and he was back in cuffs, this time for cussing on stage. The price of profanity? A $70 fine. Honestly, cheaper than a speeding ticket, but still, Jamaican authorities weren't playing. Speaking of speeding, 2009 was a year of Olympic-level traffic violations. Bounty reportedly blew through 7 red lights in Kingston, then refused to take a breathalyzer. When asked why, he probably said, "Because I'm Bounty Killer," which, shockingly, is not a legal defense. But things got more serious in 2006. He was arrested and charged with physically assaulting the mother of his child. Reports claimed he punched her multiple times, dragged her, and slammed her head into a wall. Fans were shocked. It was a stain on his legacy that no lyrical fire could burn away. Then came the 2007 incident with an off-duty cop. Bounty and his entourage allegedly attacked the officer after being asked to move their car. According to police, Bounty even pulled a gun and made threats. He was later charged with assault and illegal gun possession, stuff that can land you in prison for 15 years if convicted. It wasn't just local trouble. In 2010, his US visa was revoked, reportedly due to his legal history, leaving him locked out of the world's biggest music market. Bounty later called it devastating, saying he couldn't see his kids or promote his music in America. But in March 25, he finally made a comeback, posting from a plane with the caption, "God is the greatest." Fans and fellow artists, including Vibs Cartel and Swizz Beatz, celebrated his return. Bounty Killer has been a lyrical warrior since his teens, surviving a stray bullet at 14 and rising to icon status. But while his bars were always heavy, so were the headlines. His life proves that even legends can't dodge every consequence, even if they can dodge 7 red lights. Buju Banton. It's not every day a reggae icon drops a Grammy-winning album and gets convicted for a major drug conspiracy, all in the same year. But that's exactly what happened to Buju Banton, born Mark Myrie, whose 2011 was as unforgettable as it was ironic. The artist, known for his powerful vocals and socially conscious lyrics, found himself in a courtroom instead of a studio after being caught up in a high-stakes US drug sting. Federal agents alleged that Buju conspired to distribute a massive 5 kilos of cocaine back in 2009. The evidence? Hours of recordings and a video that showed him in a government-controlled warehouse, appearing to sample cocaine, not exactly billboard material. The entire operation was made possible by a paid informant who reportedly pocketed $50,000 for his role. That's right. Banton's fall from grace was essentially bought and sold by someone wearing a wire. Despite no proof that he financed or profited from the deal, the jury didn't buy the defense that he was just talking big. In February 2011, he was convicted on conspiracy and trafficking-related charges, though he was acquitted of 1 count and later had a gun charge dropped by the judge. His 10-year sentence was the minimum allowed by law, but for someone with a global fan base and kids in the US, it felt like a lifetime. Even in court, Buju remained composed. Shackled and silent, he waved to his supporters and blew a kiss before disappearing behind bars. But the story doesn't end there. Despite being locked up, Before the Dawn, an album recorded before his arrest, won Best Reggae Album at the 2011 Grammys. He couldn't attend the ceremony, but his voice rang louder than ever. After nearly a decade behind bars, Buju walked free in December 2018 and launched his Long Walk to Freedom tour to a hero's welcome. Over 30,000 people packed Jamaica's National Stadium to witness his return, proving that while prison took his time, it never stole his spirit. Buju's saga is a wild ride through fame, downfall, and redemption. A reminder that even reggae royalty isn't immune to the long arm of the law. Fireverse. When your song is setting charts ablaze, the last place anyone expects to find you is in a holding cell. But for Jamaican dancehall artist Fireverse, life took a sharp turn from radio buzz to police sirens. Known for his breakout 2019 hit, Shada, Fireverse quickly carved a lane for himself with his magnetic voice and Caribbean swagger. His partnership with Dutch producer Shivo Beats became a recipe for success, resulting in several well-received collaborations. But it wasn't until 2023, when Shada dropped in full force, that Fireverse truly went international. The track broke into Argentina's Billboard Hot 100 and later hit #1 on Jamaica's Hype TV charts, making it clear this wasn't a one-hit wonder. This was a career in bloom. By 25, the duo reunited to drop Time's Dread, a track that echoed through clubs and street corners across Jamaica. The single climbed to the #1 spot on the Fiwi Choice Top 10 and snagged a nomination for Best Reggae Act at the HDP Music Awards. Everything pointed to Fireverse becoming a staple in the Caribbean's evolving dancehall scene. But amid his ascent, headlines shifted from music to misdemeanors. During what seemed like a routine traffic stop in Bridgetown, Barbados, Fireverse's momentum hit a speed bump, literally and legally. Officers initially pulled him over for a minor traffic issue, but a closer look at his vehicle led to the discovery of a small amount of an illegal substance. While Barbados is currently in the midst of reevaluating its drug laws, possession still remains a criminal offense. And Fireverse wasn't exempt. He was promptly arrested and charged, thrusting his name into the legal spotlight rather than the music one. Currently, Fireverse is preparing to contest the charges in court. His legal team is working behind the scenes to keep things under control, while his fans hope this detour won't derail what's shaping up to be a legendary run. Whether Time's Dread becomes prophetic or just ironic depends on how the next few months unfold. But one thing's for sure, Fireverse knows how to make headlines, both for his beats and now, unfortunately, his booking. Busy Signal. Busy Signal's beats may be infectious, but in 2012, it wasn't a rhythm that had people talking. It was his extradition. Born Rihanna Devin Gordon, Busy Signal had long been a driving force in modern dancehall, known for tracks like Step Out and Reggae Music Again. With his unique blend of roots reggae and hardcore dancehall, he gained recognition not only in Jamaica, but worldwide. But his skyrocketing career hit a turbulent patch when, in May 2012, he was arrested at Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston. The reason? A decade-old drug-related case in the United States that had finally caught up with him. Authorities cited an outstanding warrant for cocaine-related charges, leading to his extradition to the US a month later. By September, Busy Signal was sentenced to 6 months in prison. Yet, in a move that only a true showman could pull off, he didn't let the jail time silence him. Upon his release just 2 months later in November, he dropped the single Come Shock Out, sending a clear message that he wasn't backing down anytime soon. His return to music was both swift and powerful. The BBC ranked Reggae Music Again as one of the top 25 albums of 2012, cementing his reputation as a resilient and influential figure in the scene. Busy also collaborated with international acts like No Doubt and Major Lazer, appearing on Push and Shove and Watch Out for This, Boomaye, tracks that expanded his reach into the European market. But controversy wasn't done knocking. In 2014, he sparked backlash for using parts of a viral Hatsune Miku track without proper licensing in Sports Day. Everyone move. Still, the momentum kept rolling. In 2019, his album Parts of the Puzzle hit #2 on the Billboard Reggae Albums chart. Busy Signal's story is a classic dancehall saga, raw, real, and riddled with twists. From international acclaim to legal drama, he remains a reminder that in reggae, even the most turbulent beat can still make people dance. Shawn Kingston. Once riding the wave of early 2000s fame with hits like Beautiful Girls, Shawn Kingston now finds himself in a very different spotlight, this time in a courtroom instead of on a stage. The Jamaican-American singer's legal troubles have shocked fans and dominated headlines, following a staggering series of fraud allegations that read more like a crime thriller than a celebrity profile. Kingston's downward spiral began publicly in May 24, when a SWAT team raided his luxury mansion in Florida. That same day, he was arrested in California after performing at Fort Irwin. Authorities charged him with a complex web of fraud and theft offenses, including allegations he and his mother had used fake wire transfers to scam over $1 million luxury items, from a Cadillac Escalade to expensive jewelry. After waiving extradition, Kingston was flown to Florida, where he posted a $100,000 bond and was released. But freedom was short-lived. Just 2 months later, in July 24, a federal grand jury indicted both Kingston and his mother, Janice Turner, on conspiracy and multiple counts of wire fraud. The indictment painted a damning picture of the duo's alleged operation, which involved falsifying financial documents to obtain high-end goods and promising celebrity connections they couldn't deliver. Most notably, falsely claiming Kingston had an active working relationship with pop star Justin Bieber. In March 25, a jury found both guilty on all counts. Kingston was placed on house arrest, required to secure a hefty bond with his $500,000 property and $200,000 in cash. But by April, even that plan crumbled when he failed to meet bond conditions and was returned to federal custody. While Kingston awaits his August 15th sentencing, his mother has already been sentenced to 5 years behind bars as of July 23, 25. With each count carrying a potential 20-year maximum sentence, the stakes are high for the once celebrated singer, whose criminal saga now overshadows his musical legacy. From Billboard charts to federal indictments, Shawn Kingston's story is a cautionary tale about how quickly fame can turn into infamy. Tommy Lee Sparta. From the heights of stage lights to the confines of a courtroom, Tommy Lee Sparta's story reads like a dance hall ballad with a dark twist. The controversial entertainer, known for his gothic dance hall persona and cult-like fan following, was sentenced in March 21 to 3 years behind bars after pleading guilty to firearm and ammunition charges. The artist, real name Leroy Russell Jr., was nabbed in December 20 during a routine police stop in New Kingston. Officers reportedly found an illegal weapon tucked into his waistband. It wasn't the first time Sparta's name made the news for more than just music. Over the years, he's been a frequent subject of headlines related to anti-gang operations and legal brushes, though many of those cases didn't result in convictions. This one, however, stuck, and it landed him in prison. The court handed down a 3-year sentence for the unlicensed weapon and an additional 2 years for the ammunition. However, with the sentences running concurrently, he served a total of 3 years before being released in March 23. Tommy Lee Sparta's run-ins with the law haven't dulled his shine entirely. The Montego Bay-born artist gained recognition through his affiliation with Vibes Cartel's Portmore Empire, and later blazed his own path with eerie hits like Psycho and Some Boy. His theatrical style, often accompanied by sinister undertones and controversial lyrics, drew both criticism and cult acclaim. At one point, he even found himself in a lyrical feud with dancehall veteran Bounty Killer, drama that played out in music videos, Twitter jabs, and stage show theatrics. Despite the legal trouble, Sparta has continued to release music that resonates with fans both locally and overseas. His 2018 EP New Creator landed in the Billboard Reggae Albums Top 10, and he's racked up nominations from the International Reggae and World Music Awards. Tommy Lee Sparta's journey is a complicated one, equal parts tragedy, talent, and turbulence. Whether seen as a misunderstood artist or a cautionary tale, one thing's for sure. In the world of dancehall, he remains an unforgettable figure, whose legacy is as layered as the rhythms he rides. Ninja Man. When a performer goes by the name Ninja Man, you already expect chaos, but few anticipated just how real that chaos would become. Known for his explosive stage presence and razor-sharp freestyle abilities, Desmond Ballantyne, aka A Ninja Man, was once one of dancehall's most electrifying and controversial figures. Bursting onto the scene in his teens, he honed his skills on sound systems like Kilimanjaro. He brushed shoulders with legends like Supercat and Early B. His wild style and lyrical ferocity made him a crowd favorite in the 80s and 90s, with hits like Murder Dem and Permit to Bury, cementing his image as the embodiment of the bad man persona. But Ninja Man's offstage behavior was just as intense. As criticism grew over his lyrics promoting gun culture, his career began to falter in the mid-90s. In an attempt to rebrand, he turned to gospel music in '97, adopted the moniker Brother Desmond, and declared himself a born-again Christian. Unfortunately, the transformation didn't stick for long. In 2009, everything unraveled. Ninja Man, alongside his son and another accomplice, was charged with the murder of Ricardo Ricky Trooper Johnson in a deadly altercation that shocked Jamaica. According to the prosecution, the group returned to confront Johnson a day after an earlier dispute, resulting in a fatal shooting. After years of delays, missed jurors, and legal back and forth, the trial finally began in 2016. The verdict came down hard in 2017. Guilty. 1 month later, Ninja Man was sentenced to life in prison, with eligibility for parole only after serving 25 years. His son and the third accused received 15-year sentences each. Once hailed as the king of clashes and the original rude boy, Ninja Man's story is a cautionary tale of how art imitating life can sometimes take a dark and irreversible turn. Behind the strobe lights and dancehall rhythms was a man whose persona blurred with reality and ultimately led to his downfall. Beanie Man. They call him the king of dancehall, but sometimes it seems like Beanie Man's throne is located somewhere between the recording studio and the courtroom. On January 1st, 21, Beanie Man, real name Moses Davis, made headlines not for a chart-topping hit, but for his involvement in a New Year's event that flouted Jamaica's COVID-19 regulations. Authorities charged him with breaching the Disaster Risk Management Act, DRMA, designed to limit public gatherings during the pandemic, as well as Jamaica's Noise Abatement Act. What began as a denial of wrongdoing turned into a guilty plea in court, with the dancehall legend publicly stating that he recognized he was not above the law, a sentiment he emphasized as a cultural elder navigating uncertain times. The court ultimately dropped the noise violation, and Beanie Man faced only a fine under the DRMA. His lawyer pointed out that, as a respected figure in the entertainment community, his decision to accept responsibility showed maturity and leadership during a time when the industry was under extreme strain. But this wasn't Beanie Man's first brush with legal trouble. Over the years, he's also faced tax evasion charges and issues related to visa restrictions. His career has been as full of courtroom drama as it has been dancehall anthems. And just when it seemed like things might settle, a shocking report emerged out of Belize, linking a man going by the same name, Felix Gonzalez Jr., allegedly also referred to as Beanie Man, to a serious charge of attempted murder after a shooting incident left another man hospitalized. While the exact connection between this individual and Jamaica's Beanie Man is still being clarified, the headline sent ripples through fans and media alike. From pandemic violations to international legal confusion, Beanie Man's journey proves that not even music royalty is immune to controversy. Whether he's in front of a mic or a judge, one thing's for sure: this dancehall don knows how to make an entrance. Sizzla. He may preach righteousness through reggae, but Sizzla has never been a stranger to controversy, and not just in his lyrics. The firebrand artist, born Miguel Collins, found himself behind bars in Jamaica for something you might not expect from a Grammy-nominated artist: swearing on stage. During a performance in St. Thomas, police warned him multiple times to tone it down, but Sizzla stuck to his script, expletives and all. His refusal to comply earned him 15 days in lockup, under a Jamaican law banning indecent public expression. That's one way to close a show. While the prison stint was brief, Sizzla's clashes with authority haven't been. His music, laced with spiritual themes and Rastafarian philosophy, often takes a confrontational tone. He's faced heavy criticism, especially from international human rights groups, for lyrics considered aggressively anti-LGBTQ+. His 2004 UK tour was axed entirely after pressure from activists, and Scotland Yard reportedly examined his material as part of a broader investigation into hate speech in music. Though they never confirmed naming him directly, the heat was enough to stop his shows cold. Beyond the stage, Sizzla's had run-ins involving visa complications and allegations of gun-related activity, though none have led to major convictions. His record remains clean in the eyes of the law, but not in the court of public opinion. Still, you can't talk reggae without mentioning Sizzla. He's a machine when it comes to music, with over 45 solo albums under his belt and a slew of international chart toppers. From Black Woman and Child to The Overstanding, he's helped usher in a renaissance of conscious reggae. He even built his own musical haven, Judgment Yard, a community and studio in Kingston's August town that supports rising talent. But even as he builds empires and mentors youth, Sizzla remains a lightning rod for controversy. Whether performing for Zimbabwe's Robert Mugabe or surviving motorcycle accidents twice, the man lives with his foot on the gas, literally and figuratively. Sizzla may be seen as a prophet to some and a provocateur to others, but one thing's for sure, he's never just background music. Vibe's Cartel. Vibe's Cartel's story reads like a blockbuster film. Fame, music, controversy, and a dramatic courtroom saga that spanned over a decade. Once dubbed the King of Dancehall, Cartel's rise to musical royalty was paralleled by an equally intense plunge into legal infamy that shocked fans across the globe. Cartel, born Adidja Palmer, was a chart-topping sensation known for his lyrical genius and provocative persona. But in 2011, his career hit a seismic shift when he was arrested and charged with two separate murders. First, that of businessman Barrington Burton, and then Clive Lizard Williams, a former associate. Though he was acquitted of the Burton charge in 2013, it was the Williams case that would anchor Cartel in headlines for years. The trial for Williams's murder became one of Jamaica's most talked about legal sagas. It lasted an unprecedented 65 days and ended in March 2014 with Cartel found guilty. Sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 35 years, the verdict was seen as the fall of a dancehall titan. But even behind bars, Cartel's voice echoed far and wide. Defying the odds, he dropped over 50 songs in 2016 alone, with prison officials denying he had access to recording equipment. His album King of the Dancehall made waves internationally, and the single Fever not only ruled charts, but went gold in 20. While locked up, Cartel even published a book, The Voice of the Jamaican Ghetto, and released multiple albums, including the heartfelt Tu Tenacia and the bold of Dons and Divas. But the legal drama was far from over. In March 24, the UK Privy Council overturned his murder conviction, citing juror misconduct. 4 months later, the Jamaican Court of Appeal officially dropped the case, refusing a retrial due to the cost, the passage of time, and Cartel's deteriorating health. On July 31, 24, after more than a decade behind bars, Vibe's Cartel walked free. A polarizing figure to some and a lyrical prophet to others, Cartel's criminal record may be jaw-dropping, but it's his unshakable presence, both in courtrooms and on the charts, that secures his place as one of reggae and dancehall's most controversial legends. Who would have thought that behind the bass lines and bold lyrics were tales fit for a crime drama? Reggae and dancehall have always been more than just music. They're a mirror of society, a form of protest, and sometimes a peek into the lives of artists who walk a razor-thin line between fame and infamy. From shocking courtroom twists to defiant tracks recorded behind bars, these artists remind us that truth really can be stranger than fiction. But don't get it twisted. This video isn't about glorifying crime. It's about understanding the complex layers of artists who shaped the culture and, at times, clashed with the law in unforgettable ways. Their stories are a potent mix of talent, controversy, resilience, and redemption. So, what do you think? Can an artist's legacy survive scandal, or does the music always speak louder than the headlines? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into reggae's most jaw-dropping legal sagas, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another beat from the world of music, mayhem, and everything in between. Until next time, stay curious, stay conscious, and keep the rhythm alive.